What's up? It's Chris with Subliminal Acquisition, and in this video, what I want to talk about is why you should charge more for your audio engineering services rather than less. So when you reduce your price, this is how your clients see it. Their emotional investment decreases. Now, you want people to be emotionally invested in your products and services. Now, it might seem that, okay, it's just a mix, it's a master, but the emotions drive sales in every industry. I don't care if it's Tic Tacs. I don't care if it's some spiritual healing thing. I don't care if it's mixing and mastering services. Your clients are going to feel like they're getting less value from your mix and from your services. This can decrease testimonials, referrals, and repeat business. They're not going to keep coming back to you because they're not as emotionally invested. Notice how their emotional investment actually drives sales in this case. So the perceived value is also going to decrease. They'll view your mixes as lower quality and your services as less in demand. So sommeliers, I don't know if this is the correct spelling, but they graded the same wine 3 times. They did an experiment where professional wine tasters graded the same wine 3 times, corresponding exactly to 3 different price points. They had a cheap one, a medium price one, and then they had a really expensive wine. And they said the cheap one was like, oh yeah, it's kind of nasty. It's kind of run of the mill, your $10 wine, typical. The next one was like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. And the expensive one is like, oh wow, it's like Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous, but it was literally the same wine. So even professional wine tasters can't taste the difference. It's not that they can't, but it's that there's still that influence by price, and we're influenced similarly. Of course, there is an aspect of what is actually good, but this is a factor of value. You cannot deny that. It is actually a factor of how people perceive value. Okay? So the results decrease. So your clients probably won't put as much effort into getting clean takes, preparing the sessions, and delivering the files to you, as they don't see it as being as important. They're like, okay, yeah, this is just a whatever mix engineer. This is a whatever studio. Okay, fine. Like, it's not that serious. We're not in Hollywood. We're not at Capitol Records or like one of these huge studios, right? So this is going to result in you getting worse ingredients and not being able to make as good of a mix. So their actual results decrease. Their desired outcome of having a great track, a great mix, is going to decrease. It's not going to be fulfilled in the same way, right? So their demandingness is also going to increase, right? So at lower price points, clients see this is counterintuitive, but at lower price points, clients see you as less in demand, and they feel more comfortable wasting your time, asking for more revisions, more tricky details, and ultimately more work on your end. This is because they see your time as less valuable because you decided to charge less. It looks like you value your time less because you don't have the balls to charge more money. Now, I'm not saying charge $20,000 for every mix. Like, obviously it's not necessarily up and up and up. It's not just this perfectly linear thing, but can you start to see why charging less actually hurts you and hurts your client? It's not that it's this zero-sum game. You can actually both get more value because of this. And I'm going to explain more in detail. So revenue for fulfillment per customer decreases. You just frankly make less money per client when you reduce your price, right? So when you increase your price, your clients, their emotional investment increases. They feel like they're getting more value from the mix and have greater potential to be excited about it. This can increase testimonials, referrals, and repeat business from those specific clients. They might come back to you more and more and more because, I don't know, maybe they like you, but also because they feel like they're getting the juice is worth the squeeze, so to speak. They're paying money, they're investing into this, they get emotionally invested. You deliver because no doubt you're a fantastic engineer and you really put yourself into this, and their emotional investment sort of pays off. So they want to come back to you, they're bought in, and they want to give you testimonials, they want to give you referrals, and so on, right? They want to help your business. They're just more invested in it, right? So the perceived value of the services increases also. So they will view your mixes as higher quality and your services as more in demand. Their results will increase. So they'll likely put more effort into getting cleaner takes, preparing the sessions if they're sending you the whole sessions, or with effects and yada, yada, delivering the files, making sure things are labeled nicely and so on, because they're working with a serious person, and they'll also see it as just being more important, as they see it as being more important. So this will increase in you getting better ingredients and being able to make a better mix. This is better for everyone. It's going to make your workflow easier. It's going to make their results better, right? So their demandingness is going to decrease. So at higher price points, clients see you as more in demand, and they feel less comfortable wasting your time asking for fewer revisions, fewer tricky details, and ultimately less work on your end. This is because they see your time as more valuable because you decided to charge more. It shows that you value your time more. And the last one, the obvious one, is revenue for fulfillment per customer increases. You make more money per client at the end of the day. Okay, so for your studio, when you reduce the price, let's go back to hell, let's go back to Mordor, your profits decrease. You keep less of the money from each project, given fixed studio costs. So your rent is the same, your electricity, let's say, is the same, and the software is the same. You're using the same plugins and hardware and so on, right? Like this is not exhaustive. But look, if you're paying the same in rent every month, if you're paying the same in electricity every month, you're making the same song. When you charge less, you just get less profits. You can't keep as much of that. Okay, so your perceived value of self decreases. Now, here we get into some internal stuff. Your confidence in your skills goes down because your external actions reflect that you're not particularly valuable in the marketplace. External affects internal, and internal affects external. So when you behave a certain way in the world, they had this silly TED Talks thing a few years ago where, if you stand like this, I don't know, maybe there's some truth to it. But you do power posing, you act like you're Superman, you're going to manifest more confidence in the world, right? Sorry, internally. So it's the same. If you act a certain way, it's going to affect how you see yourself. If you see yourself a certain way, it's going to affect how you act, right? So when you just charge money, it might feel a little bit difficult to do that at first, but then you're going to start noticing it's because you weren't ready to sort of step into that confidence in the external world, right? And let yourself be that confident. So the perception of impact decreases also when you charge less charge less money for each mix. You don't consider that you're actually worthy of making an impact in your marketplace. So whether that's physical or digital, it might be your local market if you do more local stuff, and also your digital market, as in, let's say you're known for working with a certain genre in a digital space, right? So you're just known online for your work in that space. You don't feel like you're being taken as seriously in your niche or your marketplace. So your service levels decrease. Because you're not charging a lot, you're likely to put less effort into your mixes, even if only subconsciously. And I know you might be thinking, no, Chris, I work really, really hard on every single mix. I work really, really hard to get it tip-top condition. But ask yourself this, be honest with yourself. If you were paid $50 for a mix, for the same mix, would you work as hard as you would if the same project paid you $1,000? You know you wouldn't. You would definitely work harder for the same project if you were charged 20x the price. Now, I'm not saying to charge 50 or 1,000, but these are just reference prices. Be honest. You know the answer, okay? So your deal-making conviction decreases when you lower your price. So when you're in a conversation with a prospect, you're more likely to have a seller dynamic where you place yourself beneath them in status and try to sell them on your services. Please take my services, right? Please buy my stuff. Please do a mix with me, right? You won't have as much conviction charging lower prices because you aren't confident in the value you can provide to your client. Again, like I said here, because you don't see you or your services as being as valuable, right? So it lowers your conviction. It lowers your, if you had a $100,000 watch that you knew everyone would pay $100,000 for in a certain market, a Patek Philippe, a Rolex, you would have no problem selling that. You say, yeah, it's $100,000. You'd be excited about it. And you know that market has determined that price and that they're excited about it. The secret is Patek Philippe Rolex, like there's nothing magical about it. The magical thing is that they have the balls to charge that high price. It's not much more different to like a $300 watch or even like a, $100 watch, something that's a pretty solid stainless steel watch. It's not that much crazier. It's really not that much crazier. I'm not like an expert on watches, but a big part of it is just the fact that they have the balls to do that and they have the conviction. I know it sounds like a scam, but those people that are buying those watches, they're excited to pay those high prices because they know that they're kind of buying a status symbol because of that. And look, you can't charge $100,000 for a mix, but I'm just like, let the analogy stick for this one. Okay. So when you increase your price, we're going to the promised land here. For your studio, your profits increase. You get to keep more of the money from each project given your fixed studio costs. So like I said earlier, if your rent's going to be the same every month, whether that's your apartment, your house, or you actually, you have a studio, your electricity and software and hardware and so on, it's going to stay the same. So if you charge more, you're just straight up just going to be able to keep more money from that. Okay. So your perceived value of self increases. Your confidence in your business, in your studio increases. Your confidence in your skills goes up because of your external actions reflect that you're valuable in the marketplace. You're like, look, I have the balls to charge this price. Of course I have. This reflects the confidence that I have in my services, in my skills, right? And that's going to reflect because you're going to say, look, because I took this action, I decided that this is a high price point and I'm going to charge this. I'm going to have the balls to do it. Your skills are going to increase to match because you're going to say, well, this is the vision I have for myself. I better step up for that. So the external affects the internal, internal affects in external. Sorry, like I said earlier. Okay. So your perception of impact increases. You consider that you're actually worthy of making an impact in your marketplace, whether digital or physical, like I explained earlier. You feel like you're worthy of being taken seriously in your niche, right? I've explained this. So the service levels increase, like I just said on this one, because you're charging a lot, you're likely to put more effort into your mixes, even if only subconsciously. Be honest, if you're paid $1,000 for a mix, you'd probably work harder than if you're just paid $50 for the same project. You know this is the case. Even if you're not consciously putting in that extra effort, which you still probably would, it would still affect you subconsciously just because your reticular activating system knows what to look for. This is a part of your brain that is determines your focus. So when something is primed in your mind by money, you are going to see things differently. You're going to say, this is worth $1,000. I want to make this an expensive mix. So when you're in that mix, when you're in that project, when you're in that session, you're going to say, not even consciously, but subconsciously, this has got to sound expensive. This has got to sound expensive. And you don't really have a say in that, but you automatically do it when you behave this way in the external world. And it's going to affect your internal, which again affects the external, which is going to make your mix better and it's going to make you more money because your testimonials go up, because your clients are more happy, and so on and so forth. It's this virtuous cycle. And finally, your deal-making conviction increases. So when you're in a conversation with a prospect, you're more likely to have a buyer dynamic where you place yourself above them in status and don't try to sell them on your services. You basically want them kind of qualifying to you about why they should work with you because you have so many clients and they pay you well and you're not hurting for money, you're not hurting for clients, you're not hurting for projects, and you're just inundated with all of this abundance in your business. And you're going to say to yourself, even if only subconsciously, like they should have to sell themselves to me. I'm not the seller in this, right? If you were going to a top mix engineer, you would have to fight for their attention. You're not saying, you don't have this arrogance of like, I'm giving them money, they're serving me, they got to beg for it. You know that you would be kind of fighting for their attention because they're inundated with all this attention, all these projects, and frankly, they just have a ton of cash because they're doing really, really well. They don't need the money. But obviously, like if you are going to do a project with them, they still like to work, they still want to work, and they still have to make money. They're going to charge a lot of money for a project, right? So you have more conviction in charging higher prices because you're confident in the value you can provide to your client. All right, so to wrap it up, that's basically why you need to charge more rather than less for your audio engineering services. You do not want to get on the doomed race to the bottom when it comes to price. Always be increasing value instead of decreasing price. And then people are going to be more excited. You're going to sell harder. You're going to do better quality work. They're going to be more excited about it. You're going to get more repeat business, more testimonials, more referrals, and so on and so forth until you're swimming in cash. You're loving life. You have so many projects and you're just doing great work. So if you want consistent, high quantity and high quality clients for your audio production studio, click the link in the description to see if you qualify for a free discovery call. So it's going to be super chill. We're just going to have a quick chat to see where you're at and see if we can help you. We can rough up a plan to get you into a position where you have more projects than you can handle, and they're high quality projects in a niche and a genre and a marketplace that you're really excited about being in and working in. So I'm excited to chat with you. Go click that link right now, and I'll see you on a call.